I was like,
Hello everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Marie Celestin. Today I have Vienne Cheung, who is the founder of Vienne Milano. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I haven't seen you in ages, so I feel like this is a little bit of a catch up and what you've been up to since leaving and Aspire.
Yeah,
which,
it's
I don't know. How
been
long
a
has
year.
Been? A year.
Yeah.
Busy year for you.
It has been.
So I know you left and then after that sort of go on to new adventures. And so what have you been up to since Aspire?
Yeah, sure. You know, it's funny you bring that up. My last day with Aspire, which is an organization that's about mentoring Asian American girls in career and leadership development, my last day with them last year was November 1st.
Oh my God.
And I launched Vienne Milano.
10 days later?
Yeah, November 1st.
Oh my
within
God.
a year. Within a year.
That's great.
All of these things have come to be.
Was that planned or just...
Well, I wanted to start my 30s with a clean slate, and so I was kind of rushing through that. Originally, we wanted to launch Vienne Milano actually January 1st.
Okay.
But kind of pulled the trigger a little earlier just to get the stuff out the door and to make it on time for Christmas as well.
Perfect. I know, especially here. It's like people will be buying gifts and Thanksgiving as well, so that was perfect timing. So I heard about the line through the promotion of the launch that was taking place in November.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what have you been up to? And so one of the things I wanted to tell you, last year you were one of the awardees for the Action Award for the Girls Project, because we usually picked about a few young women a year in terms of things that they are doing. So a lot of time people talk about, let's say, you know, their dreams or how they want to change the world, but it's more talking than anything else. And I think we tried to find young women and girls who actually took an action and made it happen. And so, you know, with Aspire and then with the line itself, I mean, that's amazing, like in
Thank
a
you.
whole year to actually...
I need to connect with you after the show.
to do it. So it's really awesome. So we thought that was really great. And so I've been holding on to a little something we have for you. So I'll give that to you toward the end. So, but I know you also traveled quite a bit, which is the reason you couldn't even come to the conference last year, because you were somewhere else in a different part of the world. So has your travel in any way influence
The launch.
the launch?
Absolutely. Actually, you know, I frequently travel to Europe, and I love the hosiery there. And that was something that was apparent to me I couldn't find in the United States. And that's why I wanted to bring Italian hosiery, particularly thigh highs, into the United States. Yeah. So-
Yeah, because at first I would have to confess, I don't even wear those, because I think once you're of a certain size, and typically when you see hosieries, it's usually in like these sort of mannequin looking women or models, and so I've never really see them on sort of like regular size women, whatever that means. So not a size 2, for example. And so I'm always fearful of like they're gonna rip or they're gonna get halfway through. I mean, thigh highs doesn't go all the way anyway, but it's just not gonna make it in terms of fit. The fit won't be right.
You know, this is kind of borderlines the girl, the whole body image
I
topic,
know.
right?
It's like...
But, you know, I actually find that these are more comfortable than pantyhoses, because with pantyhoses, a lot of times you get that uncomfortable band around your waist. And it's just, no matter how tall or short you are, a lot of women don't like that.
Right.
Versus, you know, I'm not the most tallest nor the thinnest girl ever. And with thigh highs, it goes comfortably around your leg, around your thigh.
Right.
And therefore, you know, you don't have that funny prosciutto effect that you get with some of the other thigh highs that I've found in the United States before. But with thigh highs, it's just super comfortable no matter how tall or big or whatever your size is. Yeah. And actually we run the sizes by height.
Oh, okay, I saw that on the page. So I wanted people to see your website, which is gorgeous, and the images that are on there. So, you know, very natural, and then just learning a little bit more about you know, the products itself. So
Yeah, so I mean, you can be 5'7" and 110 pounds. You're still a large just because of how tall you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things initially I was trying to think, is this really going to be all across? And for me, it's always a challenge, because that's always one of the things, like having an organization where you're focusing on positive aspect of young women, and of course you do talk about body image, and then to have something, and regardless of like whatever your lifestyle may be or where you stand on certain issues, you still have to wear certain things on a regular basis. So, but it is an issue without sort of like being an issue.
Well, to let you know why, one of the reasons I wanted to do this in the United States is because traditionally thigh highs have been thought of as a Halloween costume. It's something that's more scandalous in perception, but in reality I don't think it has anything to do with that. Where, you know, in Europe, thigh highs it's just another form of hosiery. It's something that complements an outfit. You can wear it to work, you can wear it to parties and so forth. And that's why on my website you can search on the left hand side through different categories. So for example, if you're a woman who works in the finance industry or in the law firm and you're looking for something that can work with your business outfit, these are all of our products that work in the work business. Now let's just say you are somebody who's going to a bar mitzvah, to a wedding, or to, you know, a cocktail party. There's the party category. Or if you're somebody who is planning to take a stroll on Rodeo Drive or Fifth Avenue, there's the play category where it's for women who wants to make a statement about their outfit, and they want to have fun and be creative. That's what the play category is all about. And then there's also the love category where, you know, it's something for if you want to make your boyfriend's jaw drop. Those are the products that you would probably consider.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and I was like, well, if you want your partner, I'm sure guys are not the only one who can appreciate that. So I thought that was really great. And then you have color, so it's not typically, I'm thinking anytime I hear hosiery is black. And I think you have some colors.
That's correct. For my fall winter collection, I focused on a lot of the taupey earthy color. So I have like, you know, your purple, which is my favorite color. Maroon and blues. I mean, obviously I have the traditional colors, which are black and the tan.
And the grays, I think I saw some
gray and brown as well. So I have a plethora of color, and as well as material too. So I have something in cashmere, and something thick enough that's good for a day like today, which is relatively cold.
Yes, I know, it's freezing. So, and one of the things that I noticed is the packaging as well. I don't know if you want to show our viewers.
Oh yeah, sure.
If they
this is the box.
This is if you get this online.
And then, sorry, I'm gonna have to go this way, and you would pull it that on the side where you would see the hosiery, and you can push it back in. And the reason why we designed this box is because, you know, a lot of times women, when they have beautiful hosiery, they put it back into their drawers and it might get stuck or caught or something. And so with this, you can put it back into the box and you know, it won't get harmed in any way.
And it's perfect storage because then you can sort of stack everything.
Exactly, you can stack it up
and see what each one is. So I mean, I think it's great. On the business part though, I know this is still a very harsh economic times, and so it's interesting to see that people and women are still starting businesses and still taking risk in that environment. So did in any way, did you have any sort of second thoughts in terms of, is this the right time to actually start?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be silly not to have second thoughts, but at the same time I was thinking, you know, I'm at a point in my career or life where I don't have much to lose. I'm not married, I don't have any kids, and if I don't do it now, then I don't know when I'll ever have that opportunity. So that was really the why not now factor.
Oh, that's awesome. And then what kind of support when you started talking? Because a lot of time it's one thing when you're saying it to yourself in terms of, you know, this is something I want to start, this is me, and you're really pumped and excited. But then what was the reaction when you started telling friends and family, for example?
A mixed bag.
Okay.
I think my parents had a little bit of concern. My dad, who has his own business, was like, great, this is what you should do. Yeah. My mom was like, are you sure? Same thing, like the economy, blah, blah. But I was kind of like, well, there's only one way for me to find out. Friends were very supportive. And, you know, I think there are also people who are like, oh, I've never seen thigh highs before. What is that? Or they call a high thigh. But
reverse the whole.
Right, but I think if you have a good product and you believe in it, that's really all it takes
to do it. I mean, I think that's great. So let's go through, just in case. Let's see if you're having some issue with the page. So let's go a little bit on. So if someone go on the website and they're interested in, I see some option for gifts. if we can go through what they'll be able to find on the website.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's essentially a e-commerce store where consumers can browse through and see, okay, you know, let's just say that they are looking for a pair of thigh highs. Now, as mentioned, I have this pair in black, and I also have it in 5 different colors like brown, navy, bordeaux, and purple as well. And you can also find information on the site about the band, the material, and denier. Denier is something where it determines the thickness of a pair of hosiery. The smaller the number, the more thinner it is. The larger the number, the thicker it is. And so this pair is 50 denier, which means that it's something that's not quite sheer, but it's not a solid opaque color. But you can wear it for work, for parties, for all different kinds of occasions. Now, another product that I want to point out is Olivia. And the reason why I want to point this out is because this is a product that is not offered anywhere else in the world.
Oh, wow.
It's 150 denier, which means that it's super, super thick, and it's super soft as well. And, you know, as I was telling Marie earlier, a lot of times when we work with models, they'll tell me that during the wintertime, they like to wear pants over pants because it gets so cold in Boston. But with these, you know, because it is thick and soft, you can wear those underneath whatever you have for that day and stay warm.
Yeah, so I mean, I think those are great because I think leggings is the other thing that women may do because it's thicker, and so then it's almost like you're always wearing 2 things in the winter time. So it's just really tough. But I think having just one product that you know that's not gonna rip, and still you can either show or not show it.
Yeah.
But the goal is for you to be warm, which is like the goal here. I keep thinking of like kids who go to, let's say, private school, especially girls who still have to wear a skirt, for example, and be exposed in the winter months, and it's not enough. You could tell like they're not warm at all because they're wearing skirt and regular shoes, and there's no amount of like, I don't know how long your boots would have to be, but you know that they're cold depending on the region that you live in. But I'm surprised. I mean, in Europe, I'm sure there are tons of places where, of course, it's freezing, and so I mean, it's interesting that the you know, creating the line came from a real need versus just being fashionable, because a lot of time I think people sacrifice comfort or real need just because, okay, it looks good, but it doesn't like even
practicality. I think this is something that is a little bit of both. You know, you can be fashionable, and there's a very, very practical aspect of thigh highs. And for anybody who doesn't know about thigh highs, there's a section here too that's for to learn about the basic information about thigh highs, how to wear it, how to care for it. And, you know, some of that information takes a jab at my love life, but I figured, you know, it's part of the brand, part of the language. But, and there's also like a style guide.
Section.
A style section on how do you mix and match all of those things.
Oh, very interesting. So what's going on with the love life? Is that reflected in...
Yeah, you know.
Non-existent.
I know.
It's there. Well, I'm guessing right now, you know, your work and the type of involvement you in with the community is your first love right now.
Yes.
Which is a plus for us. We have all Vienne to ourselves. So, I mean, I think it's great. The other thing I meant to ask you is like lesson learned during your travel and through the business. Because one of the things I know for a fact, I don't know if it's going to stop just because we have more women in business, is that some of the challenges that women face as entrepreneurs are very different from men. Like the attitude that you have of like, okay, if not now, then when, that little sort of reluctance that most women may have. I don't know if guys feel the same way when they're thinking about starting something or doing something that's a little risky, out of their comfort zone. So any lessons you've learned that you did not learn while you were doing nonprofit work?
You know, a lot of it has to do with dealing with Italians. My manufacturer,
whole different aspect.
Business partners, they're mainly Italians. So learning from that culture is great. I'm originally from Hong Kong, and there's a lot of similarities between the two cultures. But with that said, I don't think there are things that are like, oh my God, as a woman, these are all the things that I've learned. It's more like as somebody who grew up here in the States, you don't realize how American you are because, you know, you just take certain things for granted, and you realize, oh, wait a minute, there are certain things that are very different. Business is done very differently. So I would say that those are things that are more apparent to me from a learning experience perspective. But I think to your other point about, you know, what's the difference between running a startup company like this versus a nonprofit organization? Well, actually, there are a ton of similarity. And in fact, I would encourage somebody to do the same. The reason is because, you know, unless you work for a nonprofit organization that is huge, most nonprofits they have a shoestring budget. And so if you are familiar with working with few resources and a lot of people, you can bring all of those experiences in and start a business and run a business that way too, because both require a lot of time and effort and energy, and both you're not sitting or banking on a lot of cash on hand as well. So you didn't have any angels sort of like, oh, invest in your company, I'll take a risk? You know, there were people that wanted to do that, but at the same time, there's always a string attached. Yes. You know, my business partner is also my investor, and he's great. He's a good friend of mine, and it's worked out. But then there are other times when I'm like, I don't know if I want to have other funders and investors, because then that's when you lose control. You know. And I think that's the similarities too. I mean, I think I haven't, you know, most of my experience have been in the nonprofit, but a lot of time when interacting with entrepreneurs, and in a way to start a nonprofit, I realized very recently that you do need like this entrepreneurial spirit to do the same, but you're always chasing dollars, like once you accept it. I mean, I think it's the same with a grant, for example. You receive the grant and it's like, it's great, I support you, but everything else that come with it, I think there are strings, because in a way sometimes they do limit how you run, whether it's your program or your organization, because you have to meet the criteria of this particular, you know, foundation, whoever gave you that money to do the work, knowing that in your mind you have a different vision, but once you accept that money, you have to really sort of run things differently. I mean, in both areas, right? With nonprofit, your goal is to, you know, keep the cause afloat and the organization afloat, make sure that there's funding, so you do whatever it takes to raise funds. With the startup company, you're trying to promote and let the world know about your brand, and so very similarly, it requires the same drive, I guess I would say, to try to get all of that stuff in there. So this is, well, I guess next November will be year 1 for Vienne Milano. So what do you envision sort of for the next 5 years? I don't know what the business plan looks like, but what's in the works? Well, you know, with business aside, what I like to do for the next 5 years is just change the perception of thigh highs and hosiery. As I mentioned, you know, the American perception right now is that it's something for Halloween. It's a costume wear. I would like to get people to think, okay, well, maybe this is something different. You know, it's not scandalous at all. In fact, I can wear it to work. It's just another form of accessory. But you know, next spring I'm working on a spring collection where I think we're going to be incorporating something that is for the bridal industry. So if you're someone who's getting married and you're trying to find the right pair of hosiery or something to go along with your gown, you know, that's something that I have been thinking about. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think all these industries can benefit, and I think from the website we saw like all the categories, and again, when you think of women, it's like, you know, there's so much multiplicities to their lives that it's not just, okay, I go to work, but then how do you transition from work to play to whatever the occasion may be, that whatever, you know, that the product can actually rise and meet that particular need that they have. So I think it's great that during development that you're thinking about those, because I think a lot of time you have to wait for like the errors to say, oh my God, we didn't think about that. So are you in conversation with customers in terms of how they are engaging with the product and enjoying it? Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of times, you know, I'll exchange emails with them, or I'll just reach out to them and say, hey, how are you enjoying this product? I also have been in contact with various bloggers as well, and so they'll see they'll receive some of the samples, and we interact in terms of, okay, how does this fit? What's the material like? So yeah, there's a lot of engagement involved.
That's great. I mean, I think with most other places, you don't really, I mean, there's no way to make direct contact and say, other than a complaint on a website, so really sort of really having good ongoing interaction where, they're telling you the goods and, the tweaking that may be needed down the line.
But at the same time, though, it's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. I think, if you're somebody who's never been familiar with thigh highs before, it's hard for you to imagine what that possibility could be. And I think, too, where Sony Walkman's a good example of that, where back then, when Sony did a research on, okay, would you ever buy a product that's like that would play music? You can take it around. I think most people at that time had said no, I would never buy this product. They would
not. Oh my god!
And look at how big it is.
I know.
I mean, well, not today. Obviously, no one has a Walkman anymore. But I mean,
but
MP3 players,
Die Hard.
Yeah, iPhones. All of those inventions stem from a Walkman. So my point is, although yes, I am interacting with my customers to see how they're enjoying the product, I can't say that I'm going to rely too much of it. A lot of it is going to be my business partner and I, what we believe would be the right thing to do, based on our experiences and our ideas as well.
I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think there's so many companies that may not necessarily rely on, let's say, focus group, for example, or, what customers are always saying. Like, I can think of, Steve Jobs, and recently I was hearing about Vogue, like the editor, in terms of how they were sort of doing things differently. Usually people hear me criticizing magazines, but how, after 150 years, like you have to take risk in terms of how you present certain things. Like certain things weren't being done at the time. Let's say how a cover of a magazine should be, like everyone is doing the same, but the people behind it, in terms of like the creators and founders, sort of like always thinking ahead and on their own, and not just solely relying on what other people are saying. So if a focus group say, 90% want this, then you go and create that product. But almost having that instinct feeling. I think Steve Jobs is the most recent person I can think of who really sort of created things that when we see, we're like, I want that. But then if you had been asked, like, would you want this, you probably would have said no.
And so most people are very conservative. They, there's heuristics that we as humans rely on just because we want to be able to tell what's going to happen in the future. We want to feel comfortable. Anna Wintour is a very good example. The editor from Vogue. I think she was the one that made the bold move of putting celebrities onto magazine covers instead of traditional models. Another example is Renzo Rosso, who I've recently read his book called Be Stupid. Renzo Rosso is the founder of Diesel Jeans, and he was the one that he has this awesome advertising campaign called Be Stupid. And the idea around that is, if you have a gut feeling, go with it. I mean, I think those are great. I mean, I think I've been looking for people who are doing things out of the box, and the last person I'll mention is Zappos, is like one example. It's so sad I can't think of any nonprofit stuff, but the founder, I just love how, you change the work environment. It's not a product per se, but I think there's so many things you do that does seem to then go into the product that you do create. So, oh my God, we're running out of time. So, so there's lots to cover. So I'm hoping people will take the opportunity and go discover Vienne Milano and keep them in suspense in terms of what's to come. So right now, can we order everything from the website? Absolutely. Everything? And in fact, it's the only place you can order from. We are an online boutique it's actually the first to have it dedicated to thigh-high hosiery. And so, check us out. It's VienneMilano.com. And
and this is the perfect season, so thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm hoping before the next big party next year, or the next big launch happens, or pre-spring collection, we'll bring you back and talk a little bit about what's to come. And since this is the season of giving, I'm hoping people will go on the website. This is perfect to just as a gift, or to give to, whether it's friends or family members in your life. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Definitely check out Vienne Milano and buy a little something for yourself. I'll probably do the same.
Thank you.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.